Good morning, everybody, and to everybody, a good morning. Do me a favor, invite somebody to share, tell them coffee time is on. We're going to be talking about wisdom, balance, and Black Lives Matter. The verdict on yesterday, for some, believe that is a victory and America is headed in the right direction. I do believe that it's a victory, but I also believe it's a small victory. We've got a lot of work to do. There's a lot of things that we need to talk about. The reason we need to talk about it and have these discussions, it's talking and discussions that triggers the conscience. When the conscience is stirred, conviction is built. And there are so many things that we just need to have a discussion about. Do me a favor, invite somebody to share, tell them coffee time is on. We'll be back right after this.
Uh, coffee time, coffee time. Yeah, this ain't your average cup of joe. Listen, I need it in the morning, I need it at night. He always keeps it brewing, he always keeps it tight. Just a little sip, it'll get you right. Terrence Pickett always be the one that gets the coffee right. The coffee's right, the coffee's right. In my life, it's never a wrong time over crime. To get what's yours and to get what's mine, come on. Coffee time, coffee time. In my life, coffee time, coffee time. Feels so right. I need a little sugar, put it in my cup. Can you stir it, Terrence? Let me know what's up. And at the end of the show, you can brew another pot. Just make sure you make it hot. Come on.
And good morning, everybody. Good morning, and good morning to you. Again, Teresa Bryan, good morning. Tina White McPherson, good morning. Latoya Taylor White, good morning. Chanel Bracy, good morning. Good to see you, Chanel. Teresa Bryant, good morning. Vonda Oliver, good morning. Rhonda Oliver, good morning, and good morning to everybody. So this morning, I kind of want to have more of a dialogue than a monologue. I really want your input. I want to do something just a little bit different this morning in light of the verdict on yesterday. We still got a long ways to go, but I think we have to stop, pause, and we have to celebrate even these small victories. Latrina Donald, good morning. Everybody that is on Facebook, thank you for tuning in. And everybody that is on YouTube, thank you for joining this morning. You're the best. If you don't have a YouTube account, make sure you get one. Follow Terrence Pickett's Coffee Time. Make sure you hit the bell so you know when we are live. So we're talking over 400 years of mistreatment, over 400 years of, you name it, it's been done to black people. And on yesterday, we received a verdict in the George Floyd case where they found the police officer guilty, all 3 counts. So you have some people rejoicing, saying yes. You have some people that are angry. You have some people that are angry with that verdict. One of the things that I think we have to be careful of is we really need to pray and ask God for wisdom, even in our own communities, because people have a way of retaliating when things don't work in their favor. Do me a favor. I need you to invite somebody to share. It's hot up in this piece. I got to get some air. Give me a second. I think in order to serve humanity, I think you have to be human. And there is no way humanly possible unless hate has filled your heart to the point where you no longer have convictions as it relates to human life. There's no way humanly possible. You don't understand what's going on when we're talking about human life. One of the things that I enjoyed seeing on yesterday is the streets of Minnesota was filled not with black people. No, it was filled with black people, Asians, Caucasians, men and women of all different nationalities gathered together in celebration of the verdict that was handed down. Here's what I believe. I believe that the hearts and the consciousness of man is being stirred and provoked by conversation. I believe to a large degree we are experiencing some of the fruit of our labor by opening these conversations up, having tough conversations as it relates to the mistreatment of people of color in this country. I think the more we raise the issue, I think the more we just refuse to bow and move on, like many have suggested in the faith community and in our community, but we continue to have the tough conversations. The more information that is given, the more light is shed, the more ignorance is exposed. Ignorance is a part of darkness. Even in your Bible, whenever God speaks of light, he refers to light as his word. So ignorance is darkness, and the more truth, the more conversations we have, the more darkness is exposed. The more information we have, the more light we receive. The more light we receive, darkness can't stay where light is. And to the measure of light, to that measure will determine the level of darkness or the level of ignorance. So we have to be informed. We cannot be informed unless we're having conversations. We can't have conversation until we find something that we agree on instead of looking at what we disagree with. So I think we have to provoke more conversation as it relates to race. I don't think white police officers should police black neighborhoods. I don't. I think that's part of the problem. And I would love to hear what you all would have to say about it. I'm going to read the comments as well. You know, in order to reach a person, there has to be some level of understanding. And it's unfortunate, but white America doesn't understand our community. And because they do not understand our people, our communities, what they do is they police our communities from fear instead of understanding. You can have two guys, both have on t-shirts, jeans, dreadlocks. One has ill intent, the other does not. You won't know that unless you know us. And I'm a firm believer, until you sit where I've been seated, you will never understand the plight of my call. It's, you know, for a police officer's gun to be the first result in bringing peace, that is a problem. That is a problem. I have a video, and I've been debating whether I was going to show it or not, but I think I am. I have a video, and in this video, it's really sick. I believe that police ought to be protected. I also believe that we as law-abiding citizens, we have to understand that these police officers put themselves in harm's way every day. But you don't need to be a police if you are afraid to be confronted with conflict and danger. That's a part of the job. The gun should not be the first alternative of protection. I don't believe that. We see it when this kid is shot. And the lady yelling taser, 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 she confuses her gun with the taser, which is baloney. It's just another poor excuse in a uniform. I don't think we can demonize all police officers. I believe we need somebody to help maintain order and control to keep our community safe. I just don't think the people that are policing the communities need to be in those uniforms. I think we have to do a better job at vetting, a better job at preparing those officers. We can't just continue to allow white officers with a badge and a gun to patrol our neighborhoods, and at the slightest appearance of trouble, they're trigger happy. I think we have to do a better job there. Let me read some of the comments. Andrea Mitchell, good morning. Tanyita Stacy, good morning. Joshua Benjamin, on Fox News, there's a story about cops taking down a knife-wielding female for attacking two others. BLM showed up and defended the knife-wielding woman. BLM does not have the moral high ground. Well, that's subjective, Joshua. I think the problem here, and I have the video, it's one of the ones I'm debating, and am I going to share? I have the video. I watched the video. You don't shoot a 15-year-old kid for fighting. She has a knife. There's at least 5 officers on the scene. She has a knife. And the story behind the knife is that she was being bullied in her neighborhood. She was being bullied by a group of girls. That's why she has the knife. But when you have partial information, it's easy to make a judgment. And this is my point here. Joshua Benjamin, Black Lives Matter does not have the high moral ground. Well, neither do white police officers in a lot of cases. And for you to make that comment, neither do you. It's humanity first. It's humanity first. This girl with the knife was being bullied in this neighborhood. And even if she wasn't, and she has a knife, and we saw the knife. At what point does bullets become the first alternative? Who's teaching this? Where did this come from? She could have been apprehended without killing her. Why didn't he tase her? Why does 4 bullets to the chest on a 15-year-old? How is that okay? And I understand everybody wants to demonize Black Lives Matter. I never forget when we started marching for George Floyd last year, I received a lot of heat from the Christian community because they said to support Black Lives Matter. Do you know what they stand for? Do you know what they mean? And I just wanted to say, well, y'all shut up. So you're not going to do anything because an organization that defends same-sex orientation, their root is in homosexuality and lesbianism. And because that's where their root is, you mean to tell me they come up with a good cause and you can't stand on their side because of their sexual preference? This is one of the reasons religion is killing people. It's one of the reasons people are not so ready to come to our church when we display that level of ignorance. No, you should side with life. All of us should side with life. I don't care about your sexual preference. God's giving you a will to choose. If God gives a person a will to choose and they choose how they choose to choose and God allows them to choose, who the heck are you to stand in the way? Well, it doesn't coincide with what I believe. I understand that. But when it comes to humanity, that's not for faith, it's for life. And no matter what your faith is, I think all of us should defend humanity. I don't care if you're sleeping with gorillas and little puppies. When it comes to human life, all of us have to raise our voices. We have to raise our platforms. We have to use whatever we have to be a voice and a light on the ignorance that shadows in our communities. Von Oliver says, which is exactly the reason why cops should look for alternatives to shooting first. Other alternatives. I believe that. Instead of shooting first, there has to be another alternative. I'm sure there was a voice in the crowd that could have talked her down. DeJuan McIntyre says we have to stand together. Joshua Benjamin's joined the conversation. The two white people that simply defended their property from BLM were threatened in every way because they were white. If Jay-Z lived there, he wouldn't be happy about BLM invading his property. Let me address this because I see this a lot in America, in this white-driven society. Whenever there is an issue at hand, white America creates other issues around the issue to distract from the main point, and they want to make points and raise points that are really insignificant as it relates to what the complete issue is. The issue here is the unfair treatment of people of color. Not only the unfair treatment, but the way society deals with people of color. That's the issue. So you can talk about defending property and two white people are, treated unfairly. What about the over 400 years that black people trying to defend their families were murdered and killed and lynched from trees, torn asunder with trucks? What about the inequality in our justice system? So while you raise a point about two white people defending their property, you're missing the point as it relates to over 400 years of oppression. Give me answers to that before you move the dial to discuss two white people protecting their grass. Joshua. Back to your initial point. A black officer in a black neighborhood would have known to try to talk the girl down first. Rhonda Oliver, you're exactly correct. Yes, we must stand up for humanity. Andrea Mitchell, you are correct. This is a great question. This is a great question. Teresa Bryan says, why do non-blacks get talked to, but those of color get shot at doing incidents like these? I've seen white men steal police cars and the police wrestle with them. I've seen a white man hit a police car in his own car and nobody pull their gun or taser. That's a problem. So before we can talk about all this other stuff we've got to deal with, you have people in uniform, and I think the men in uniform that do it right should be praised. We're not against all police officers, just the jerks that put on the badges or the ill-informed. You know, you can't go into law enforcement because you need money. You need to understand the seriousness of the job. It's more than just having a job. You need to be called to the job. There's certain instincts that you should have in order to be a police officer, because it is a dangerous job and no one's underestimating the danger. What we are saying is there are too many scenarios where black people are being killed at the hands of whites because they use the gun as their first method to solve conflict. That is a problem. In law enforcement, your weapon is the last chain of force. In law enforcement, your weapon is the last chains in the use of force. I like that. I like that. Daphne Pickett Morgan, what it is, cuz. And let me pause and say, Joshua Benjamin, though we may not agree on a lot of these issues, thank you for joining the conversation. And as much as possible, we want to remain respectful not only to you, but you to us as well. Now, Joshua Benjamin says, unfair. Every black friend I had walked all over cops at every opportunity. Whites would not attempt that or get away with it. Well, maybe you chose the wrong black friends. I don't care how many you had. They don't speak for the entire black population. Every white cop that I've come in contact with, I'll say at least 75% were racist. But I can't blame all the cops for that. So there are some police officers in uniform who I believe should get the electric chair just because of the hate that is centered in their heart. But I can't blame all of them. So I don't understand your point, sir. I don't understand your point. So you have some black friends that walked over police officers. Well, they should be dealt with in a justified manner. But unarmed men being killed by white cops, talk about the issue. Once again, sir, you've gone around the main point to raise a point that has nothing to do with the main point. And that's what white America does. And this is why we're having this conversation. Because when we say Black Lives Matter or Blue Lives Matter, all lives matter. All lives aren't under attack. Blue lives are not under attack, but black ones are. The only reason there is a BLM is there's no justice for black people in America. Deal with that issue. You want to talk about Jay-Z and all this stuff? Deal with the issue at hand. When will black people see fair treatment and equality in this country? Then we wouldn't have to have a Black Lives Matter. We have to raise organizations because we're overly criminalized. There's a constant hatred towards people of color in every genre, every thread of America, from the White House to the crack house. Black people are mistreated. Deal with that issue. What's the solution there? I'm insulted at white America. I'm insulted by white America. I'm insulted by white people that want to talk about everything but the main thing. And it's either because you've not been educated or you cannot relate, or both. or you just refuse to see there's a problem here, sir. Too many of us are killed, convicted, and we're innocent. I wish that white people, some of them, a lot of them that I've encountered, could have my skin, hey, for 48 hours. We're not asking for a handout. We're not asking for anybody to do us any great favors. The only thing we're asking for, treat us like you treat white folk. White people, hey. White people, treat us like you treat your own. Then we wouldn't have a problem. That's hard for you to see because you're blinded. You're blind. You've been blinded by white privilege because you don't have to deal with it. You see the objective instead of seeing the issue. I think another problem is, to have a conversation, there has to be a level of understanding, and then I have to be open to hear opposing sides. One of the reasons we increase in educations when we have a heart that is open to learn. A learning heart does not surround itself with defenses. We're not looking to prove a point. We're trying to raise a point. We have nothing to prove. We know we are the minority. Your system it reminds us of that every day. Why are we the minority? I think you have to be open to hear in order to learn. And if you don't have an ear to hear, you will never learn. And you're going to walk around and make these ignorant statements such as the one that you're making. And ignorance is not a bad word. It just means lacking knowledge. It's ignorant of you to believe that. You've not said anything in regards to the unfair treatment of black people, but you're raising points to protect your privilege. And I get it, because when you've not gone through what we've gone through, you can't possibly have the perspective. But what bothers me is there are white Americans, there are Asian Americans who actually get it. It was white people that helped Harriet Tubman in the Underground Railroad. There were white people who had a heart for humanity and didn't look for ways to get around slavery. They looked for ways to end it, to demolish it. Let me see here. Daphne Pickett Morgan says, police are trained thoroughly for the job. In these instances, these are veteran policemen with training. White people want to take the privilege to nap. To not want to understand. I believe that's what it was. It's sometimes when we're typing, spell checker changes our words. That's a great point, Daphne. That is a great point. These aren't rookie police officers. These are police officers who've been on the force for years. Now, let me tell you what brings me great fear. You mean to tell me you are a vet? This dude, because I refuse to say his name, but the animal that killed George Floyd, what it was, 28 years, 18 years of experience? The animal that killed the kid in the car, what was it, 18, 28 years of experience she was on the police force? These are not rookies. Joe Biden said it best, and if I'm being fair, Joe Biden raised the question and made a powerful statement as it relates to systemic racism and how it has penetrated into every division in America. You know why? It's what America was built off. Ron Oliver says, and some of these bad cops want to wear badges because wearing a white KKK hood would be too obvious. That's exactly right. They're moving with the times. So they don't put the white pillowcases on anymore. They put on police uniforms, corporate suits. They're dressed in casual clothes with chalk in their hand, teaching somebody's classroom. Now, Joshua, I hadn't heard from you. You've not answered any of mine, but I've answered all of yours. Veteran police officers use the good old boy system when policing. You know, they look out for each other. This is why a man is dying on the ground. There are at least 3 other officers looking, and nobody stops him. Nobody even raises a question. Hey, you might need to ease up just a little bit. Just back up. You had him in custody. He's laying on the ground. He's in cuffs. He can't move. He's no longer a threat. Why is your foot on his neck? Why is your knee on his neck? You already have him in custody. You have the situation under control, and he doesn't pose a threat. But when you lead with hate, pressure is not enough. You have to be nasty. Rosalind Jones says, yes, she was on the force 26 years. And she trained people. She was a trainer. She was a field trainer. How are you, the trainer, making rookie mistakes? Talk, Rosalind. How, Sway? You're the trainer making rookie mistakes. Because it wasn't a mistake at all. Wasn't. White privilege gives you the ability to try things because you know you can get off because of the system. It's a faulty system. Joshua Benjamin, I'm not protesting the cops' conviction. I'm upset that Black Lives Matter still rioted after they needed to riot. You're not upset. You're not upset at what's being done to humanity. You're upset because of the riots. Look at your heart. This is the problem. They need to burn that down. Burn it down. Because the way you get white America's attention, bother their stuff. Now you're mad because they're rioting. You're not mad that humanity is being lost unfairly, untreated, treated unfair daily. That doesn't anger you. You're mad at the riots. Sir, do you not have a heart for people? And for the record, yes, I'm extremely passionate about it because I'm a black man. But if it was green people, I'm still looking at America side-eye at the way they treat it Indians. You need to understand that America was birthed through murder. The blood of the innocent are on the hands of who you call your forefathers. And I understand why your heart is conditioned to think the way that it is, because historically, you're the problem. You had white men reading the Bible, having Bible study, George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, the forefathers of this country. They were having church services, and then they go home to their slaves and rape them, beat them, kill them, show up to work and write the Constitution. So the reason you don't see a problem in humanity dying is because you're like your daddy. And that's the problem. Von Oliver says, woo, the many years of experience. Imagine the horrific acts they've committed over the years that wasn't video recorded. Excellent point. Excellent point. Tanyita Stacy says, we live a life that people can stand around and hide injustices, silence its consent, and goes deep. Listen to me. Listen to me. That is powerful. I'm more agitated because I am a believer of the divine grace that was released to Yeshua to die for my sins. I am a believer. I'm a man of faith. I believe and love God with all my heart. But the same religious people who defended Trump, we don't hear from them when our neighborhoods are being unfairly treated, killed. I would like to see white evangelicals, Craig Hodges, from Church of the Highlands, who liked the blackface, standing with Trump and Rosa Parks. What mockery when you have black people supporting your ministry. What mockery. And any black man that submits to a white man who has any level of racism in their heart, that black man has a problem. They call it Uncle Tom lover. Anytime black people cannot stand against their oppressor and call them out on their wrong, but find a way to have a prayer service and sing Kumbaya, that's a problem. No. White people, white evangelicals are encouraged and endorsed by blacks when we continue to support, and they don't even speak up for us, and we're supporting their ministries. ARC. That's what ARC. There should be an outcry. If you are, I do not believe, I believe that we are one. We should be covered by the blood as being people of faith. But what makes us one is that when you see me being hurt, there should be an outcry for me if you really love me the way you say. Now, you love me in words, but when it's time for you to speak for me in places I don't have access to, you go in hiding. Jesus left the 99 for the one. Where are your voices? Where's Kenneth Copeland, Kenneth Hagin? What's the man that was sleeping, him and his wife was sleeping with the student, Liberty University? What's that guy's name? That spoke so strongly against homosexuality, spoke so strongly for morality, and you and your wife sleeping with this student. He used to be the leader of Liberty University. And black people, you still show up to their churches. You still give your money to support their causes. you are part of the problem. You need to pull your resources from anybody who will not speak for you and defend you in your day of trouble and adversity. They are not for you. And I'm not mad at them. I'm mad at the fruit. Where was Celebration Church? I want to know what these white folk had to say about our oppression. Church 1122. These are white churches in Jacksonville. What are you saying for us? How are you helping us? Don't show up to our communities three, 4 times a year, give out turkeys and believe you're helping us. You're not helping us. You help us by getting to the root of the issue. Promoting something to be burned down would get Whitey locked up. You apparently get away with it. Well, I'm not promoting anything to be burned down. What I said was, in my personal opinion, they probably need to burn it down. They need to get your attention. I don't believe rioting is the answer. Let me be clear. I don't believe that's the answer. But what else do we have to do to get your attention? We burn your field down because you're on here defending. You're not defending a life that was lost. You're defending property. You're defending property. And I don't believe that property is more valuable than human life. It's called having a heart. So no, I don't promote rioting. I don't promote it. I do promote getting your attention. Words of Malcolm X, by any means necessary. What else can we do? You're not listening. It's obvious you don't hear us. So maybe that is the answer. Who knows? You're upset that they're rioting after a verdict, even though he was found guilty. They're still rioting. What about the lives that are lost? Just say something about that and then condemn the rioting. But your heart is revealed in the words you speak. You don't care nothing about human life, and we don't care anything about your property. That's what I'm saying. All right. Yeah, this Chris Hodges, who's a white evangelical. He stands on the board, or stood on the board with evangelicals for Trump. I have a hard time with anybody that stands with my oppressor. The way that Donald Trump disrespected black people, all nationalities, women, and you stand with him, you're on his board with evangelicals for Trump. You have a leading position, and he has black pastors under him that serve him and lick his hand very well. I have a problem with them too. Daphne Pickett Morgan says, more importantly, he knew he was being recorded and he committed a murder for all to see. The level of arrogance to kill a black man with an audience, the level of arrogance is gross. It's called white privilege. They don't care. They're so arrogant. They don't have a heart for people at all. Okay. You people love to play the victim, yet you call yourself kings. Well, let me, Mr. Gerardo, weirdo, We're not claiming to be the victim. History does that. We are kings, but we're kings by birthright. And if you know anything about Bible interpretation and Bible history, the fight over us is for placement. We're not claiming to be the victims. We're the victors. And the day is going to come when you will eat those words. The only thing we're wanting is equality. And again, I assume you're white because there's so much arrogance in your statement. You people, sir, we're humans just like you. The problem is you're inhumane. You and your ancestors, but we will rise. I like this. Joshua, again, thanks for being a part of the conversation. Mr. Gerardo, thank you for joining the conversation as well. Jesus would have forgiven cops too. The apostles sent out by Jesus didn't commit riots or hurt people. Let me help you. Let me tell you what Jesus would have did. He would have got a weapon like the one he used before he entered the temple. And he went in because of the injustices that they were throwing towards his father in his father's house. He beat those people and turned over those tables. That's a riot. And you're saying he wouldn't do that? You got to read your Bible, sir. Jesus would have forgiven cops too. The same Jesus in Genesis, according to the word of God, said that if you take a life, yours should be taken. He's a man of war. He's not just a lamb. He's a lion. So, Joshua, read your Bible. All right. Angelia Pickens, me too. Don't just take our resources, take the lead in helping. Black Lives Matter. They have a stronger voice. You are absolutely correct. Joshua says, true Christians resurrect from death on their own, like Jesus demonstrated. They see after death, like Jesus taught. Very few true Christians actually exist. You're right. And true Christians offer the same liberties to all and not just to some. True Christians look at where there's oppression and help overturn it. True Christians would give their life for the people Jesus created. So it's obvious you're not one either. What have you done to help our cause? What have you done to try to initiate equality on any level? But thank you for being a part of the discussion. Tanyita Stacy says the same Jesus called the Pharisees whitewashed tombs and said, you are of your father, the devil, because of their hypocrisy. That's strong, but that's Bible. See, the discussion is to somehow educate the ill-informed because it's understood. I can understand if you don't understand our trouble because you've not gone through what we've gone through. I can understand your ignorance. What I can't understand is when truth slaps you in the face, you can't receive it. But let me tell you why. You don't have a heart for truth. Did you not know a person that has a heart for truth when he hears truth, even when he doesn't understand truth, the heart is turned as a regards of the truth? There are so many things. That's really what conviction is. There's a scripture in the Bible that says, to him that has an ear, let him hear. The problem is you have a face, but you have no ears. So you can't hear truth. You can't process truth, and you don't care to side with truth. The only thing you want to do really is cause trouble. Because once again, when you don't have a voice for the oppressed, you don't have a heart for godliness. Jesus said it this way. He said, when I was hungry, you didn't feed me. When I was in jail, you didn't come visit me. And when I was naked, you didn't clothe me. And they were wondering, Jesus, we never saw you hungry. We never saw you naked. When were you in jail? And this is what his response was. The least that you've done unto these little ones, you've done unto me. You can't tell me that you have a heart for God, because everything that God is contingent on the love that he has. 1 Corinthians 13 walks us through what love is. Love is not bigotry. It shows us what love is, but it also inadvertently shows us what love is not. Instead of raising more problems, you'd be trying to find solutions. But as Tanyita brought out, the same Jesus called the Pharisees whitewashed tombs and said, you're of your father, the devil. Let me tell you something. When a heart has been seared or a heart has been waxed cold, no matter how much truth that is placed before it, it will never understand it, because the heart has been trained by the poison of the soul to see right wrong and call wrong right. There are 3 points that I want to make, and I'm out. The first point is we have to have, I believe we need all nationalities on the police force. And I believe based on your nationality, that should determine your district. Because I understand Jews understand Jews, whites understand whites, and blacks understand blacks. Doesn't mean you have to look like me to help me. But I believe when you look like me, you have a better understanding of me. That's the first thing. Second point that I want to raise, anybody that names the name of Christ and have not helped these little ones, have not used their power, their ability, or their authority to help the oppressed, you are the part of the oppressor. You are strengthening the hand of the wicked. And my third point, any black person that sides with their oppressor, you've become the shadow of the oppressor. You become their twins. We've got to have more discussions. We've got to have more conversations. It's obvious we're not on the same page. I believe the more we provoke intelligent conversations, it's information that leads to convictions. The reason people are able to do what they want to do is they have no personal conviction. They're blinded. Paul calls them all dumb dogs. Let me give one last history lesson. Whether you like it or not, Joshua Benjamin, my other white people that are on, when God started this thing called humanity, he did it in Africa. You weren't there because you were in us. I don't believe that the flight or the plight for saving black lives and saying Black Lives Matter is over the skin color as much as I believe it's over position. And because you can't get the position, you're after the skin color. All humanity come from black people. Y'all were made in Africa. You're African Americans as well. And as much as I hate to say it, let me put this up. I do believe segregation is my answer. That's probably the most wise thing you've said all day. I believe segregation is the answer. Because when we had our own, we didn't have to deal with you. And we didn't have to worry about dying at your hands. God made us first. And like anything, you study your Bible, the twins that Perez and his brother that fought each other over placement. You have Joshua, David. All these kings had problems with their family because of placement. The enemy doesn't like what God placed first. So when he can't get the position, he will attack anything that he can. All white people, you're our sons and daughters. Jesus is not from Europe. Contrary to what you may believe, the pictures that Michelangelo painted, Jesus didn't have blonde hair and blue eyes. The Bible records his eyes was as flame of fire. His skin was as burnt brass. Doesn't look white to me. And let me clear up my statement about segregation and why I believe we should go back to it. I'm not talking about mistreating people and making them ride in the back of the bus. That's not what I'm talking about when I come to segregation. I'm saying we need to segregate ourselves. Black people need their own, so we don't have to intermingle with people who hate us. If we're not welcome to the party, we don't want to be there. We need our own banks. We need our own malls. We need our own neighborhoods. We need our own restaurants. We need our own. We need to keep our money in our community. We don't need to share it with the Jews, with the Asians. We need our own crab houses, crab pots. That's the type of segregation that I'm talking about. Since you don't respect our persona, you shouldn't respect our dollar. You take our money, we give it to you, and you use it against us. That's what I'm talking about. And as it relates, segregation is the thing that Dr. Martin Luther King came to overturn. It is. It is. And it's why we have this mess that we have now. Martin Luther King was after heart. And when he started to play with your economic system, that's when you murdered him. Please believe segregation should be in order. We should have our own. That should be the goal. If we go into a store and they don't respect us, they follow us, walk out. I'm going to take one last statement and then I'm out of here. Tina says, how realistic is this though, Terry? By the way, you look great. Well, thank you so much. I do my best. Been working out, lost over 45 pounds. Picket fine is what he is. And as it relates to how realistic, it's as realistic as we allow it to be. I encourage all of you, buy black. Support your kind. They support theirs. I have white sisters and brothers. I have white people that I would stand with in their day of adversity. I have white people in my life who understands our plight. They understand the suffering that we've come through. Over 400 years of it. They understand it. They side with us. They help us. They use their money and their resources to try to get us ahead. I'll stand with them forever because they have the heart of God. But to you other devils, white devils, oppressors, my prayer is that you get what you're sowing. Only you know what that is. We'll read one last comments and then we're out. Tanyita Stacy say we have to come to the knowledge we should hate. We should hate being tolerated and not celebrated. Everyone should be valued as the human God sent Jesus to die for. That is correct. We love everybody, even though you hate us. But my prayer is that you get what you planted. To everybody that follows Coffee Time, thank you. It's been a great discussion. We're going to do this some more. Thank you for your input. Thank you, those that decided to join us. Even if we don't agree, Here's what I want to say to you. I get and I pray that you get what you're planting. Whatever your seed be, may the harvest be multiplied to you, your children, and your generation. We've got to learn how to love. We've got to learn how to love. You all have a great day. Thank you. For those that follow Coffee Time without your ears, I don't have a voice. You make this possible. I'm so glad we're doing life together. If you would like to support what we're doing, our stage is expanding. You can give to the Cash App, sponsor Coffee Time. We appreciate your support. To our monthly partners, thank you for partnering with us. It's you. You're the reason we're here. And for that, I'm grateful. I'm thankful. And I thank God for all of you. To all of my haters, God used you to raise me. And I appreciate you too. Remember, you were born to win, predestined to succeed. There's nothing that can happen to you today that the wisdom on the inside of you cannot handle. You've got to calm down, slow down, be quiet, use emotional intelligence, trust God, and let wisdom speak. When wisdom speak, you will always win. Y'all go have a productive day. See you in the morning, and always remember to think higher, speak life. Peace out. A-Town.
Coffee time, coffee time. Yeah, this ain't your average cup of joe. Listen, I need it in the morning, I need it at night. He always keeps it brewing, he always keeps it tight. Just a little sip, it'll get you right. Terrence Pickett always be the one that gets the coffee right. The coffee's right, the coffee's right in my life. It's never a wrong time over crime to get what's yours and to get what's mine. Come on. Coffee time in my life. Coffee time feels so right. I need a little sugar, put it in my cup. Can you serve it, Terrence? Let me know what's up. And at the end of the show, you can brew another pot. Just make sure you make it hot. Come on.